something like that.
Just-
Actually, I can have one.
We ready? Okay, I'll call this meeting of the Tahlequah Board of Education to order. And the first thing is recording of members present. We're all here. Cindy, is that you over there?
It is.
We're glad to see you. I'll call this meeting. Oh, I don't want to hear myself. Robert, whoa. I think it's gone.
Yes.
So we're ready for the Pledge of Allegiance and Mrs. Zemo.
15th minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Mr. Myers? Mrs. Zemo?
Aye.
Item D, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the monthly financial reports. Any discussion? Ms. Walker? Mr. Shepherd? Mr. Myers? Mrs. Zemo? You're on.
Hello. The month of January 2021 was very good for Tahlequah Public Schools. General fund collections were at $4,894,003. And the building fund, $494,142.96. And that left our cash balance on page 1 for the general fund, $5,287,235.07. Also for the building fund, that left a cash balance of $732,900.31. Co-op fund is in the negative, $64,995.12. Again, the rumors are that we are going to receive our first payment for that before June 30. So they'll just send that to us when they get ready. Sinking fund, $1,568,344.41. We're getting prepared to pay, make a payment on that soon. Expenditures for payroll were $2,380,952.87. And accounts payable for the month of January, $713,678.62. Any questions about general building bond sinking? Activity fund, page 19, the cash balance in the activity account is $639,641.81. Our CDs invested are at $256,738.59 for a total of $896,380.40.
Thanks.
Well, January was a great month for child nutrition too, because we were able to serve 18 days. That's a lot compared to what it has been, especially February. So since August until the end of January, we've served 136,639 free lunches, 85,791 free breakfasts, and 31,415 free supper meals. Amazing. We're really proud of that. We are able to continue serving all free meals to students through June the 30th. Beginning July 1st, I just talked to my state lady today, and she said, as far as they know, July 1st, everything goes back to normal. So, yeah, it's gonna it's gonna be rough, but everybody will have to pay again, and it'll be and we'll operate under the normal National School Lunch Program instead of what the program we're operating under now. So it allows all kids to eat free. Child nutrition, their to-do list, things we got going on. We got to get through our extensive state review of our program that is currently underway. Hopefully that'll be wrapping up sometime this week. Again, my state lady was here today, and she said so far everything looks great. So, but she still has stuff. She took all the stuff home and is going to do it tomorrow. I should know by tomorrow evening if we're good in that. Fingers crossed. Other things on the to-do list, there's lots of training for our staff that happens during the springtime. We're still planning on doing that. We're planning on moving as normal. So we're planning on doing that. And we've already started planning for our summer feeding during the month of June and July. I know I just said that starting July 1st, we'll go back to our regularly scheduled programming, but June and July, when we do the summer feeding, that is free to all kids. So actual charging of kids won't happen until August. And the summer feeding, we started planning for that, and that's all. Does anybody have any questions?
Good job.
Great job.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Child Nutrition. We rock and roar.
All right.
Yeah.
Superintendent's report. Oh, I guess we need to vote on that.
Move to approve the monthly financial reports that were presented.
Oh, second that. Any discussion? Mrs. Nemo?
Aye.
Mr. Myers?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Mrs. Walker? And I. Superintendent's report.
Okay. Things on here, first, the Bureau COVID update. You have the attachment behind the report, updated numbers. Kind of the, I would focus on since the last board meeting, how many have we had? So that's 31 positive cases and 446 quarantines since the last time we met. In general, the numbers are going down. Obviously, with being out the last 2 weeks, that was a big hit in it. But even before then, it was slowing down as far as coming through the quarantine and positive cases. So that's encouraging news. We hope that trend continues. The next big thing, this Friday and Saturday, our staff will be able to get their first COVID shot. We're taking appointments. We started Monday. I got word late Sunday night, so we put it out Monday morning to the staff. Friday from I think noon until 3 shot, and then Saturday from 8 until 3:15, I believe, our time schedule. About a month ago, we had to send them a list of all the names of employees who wanted the shot, so we sent that in. So they created that many slots, for us. And then now we had to have our employees actually schedule the time for the slots. There's a form they have to fill out, just a basic demographic form. Once they fill that out, they send that in to Mrs. Woodward, assistant. And then we have a Google Doc set up, and people can schedule their time. We're already scheduled to have a distance day on Friday, so nothing interrupted. And 2 things I don't know the next day yet. As soon as they give me that for the second shot, we'll begin scheduling that. And the other thing they couldn't tell us yet is what type of vaccine will matter, but just so people know what they're getting. But they told me before Friday, they would be able to let me know. And I pass on just so they would know what they're getting.
So this includes all paid employees at the top of the school system.
Everybody who wants
Who wants it?
the vaccine.
What about Board of Education members here? Are they also eligible to get it?
You had to be an employee. Got your shot.
Oh, yeah, I've got both. I'm good. I'm good.
I think everybody has.
Except me.
I said, man, okay,
Third
well,
grade,
we'll leave
third
her around. It's, the list had to be an employee.
Everybody that wanted an appointment, did they get an appointment? Or did
They have until 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay.
We still have plenty of slots left.
Plenty of slots,
And
okay.
we've had some who, since they signed up, got a shot elsewhere,
Right.
Turkey Nation or wherever it may have been. So we have some spots that came over. So we're 1 o'clock's our deadline. We still have some spots who haven't, I don't know if they haven't got, if they've already got a shot or they just haven't responded to us. So, but I reminded them again today and I'll remind them again tomorrow. That's it. We had 262 was the original number of employees who wanted a shot.
How many employees are there? Roughly?
About 502.
That's great.
So distance day, their teachers will be at school and then they can just shift in and out. based
Yeah,
on
I think we
their
only
appointments.
have, I think it was 60 or 70 appointments on Friday. So that spread out to the district.
Mhm.
They can, I just told them to let your principal know what time's your appointment. If you're early and you can come back to work, then if not, then your day's over after your shot. So
Now, these are only for Tahlequah Public School staff. I mean,
What
if
we're
they
talking about
don't,
right
if they
now
don't
is-
use all of their shots, if they don't have, the teachers don't want it, they have some left over, is there a possibility to open that up to?
That I have no
Outside.
control over. We're scheduling for our teachers, and then whatever spots they have, they may do something with.
Mhm.
The other big thing, obviously, with the weather, we were out a couple weeks there was some damage that we had. We had an indoor swimming pool in the old central basement. It was a little bit higher than knee high down there. Randy and Brad had to pump a lot of water to get that fixed. We did have the water main under the football field, the middle school football field busted. We had multiple leaks at Greenwood. The biggest were at the high school. We have 5 classrooms that are still out of commission. We have the drywall people coming in Thursday to start on that, so just as soon as we can get that ready and back going, we will. And then also a leak in the high school library, the lines above the ceiling. So other than the classrooms at the high school, everything is just about back to normal. Our maintenance guys and Brad and Randy did a great job, responding to all that, getting stuff turned off and fixed quickly. So we appreciate them. Finally, we just announced this today to the district. Our district teacher of the year was Emily Freeze, teacher at Greenwood. We also, our site teachers of the year were announced. Sequoia, Tony Phelps, at Cherokee, Lindsay Pierce, Emily Freeze at Greenwood. Heritage, Katie Watkins at the middle school, Sharon McClure, and at the high school, Gabby Beef. And also Mrs. Beef was a runner-up overall.
So who did you say was,
From Steve, Gabby Beef.
no, who did you say was the one that won, Emily Freeze?
Yes, Emily Freeze. And just the last little note, just kind of a reminder, since it is a quick turnaround, our next board meeting is March 9th. It's just a couple weeks away.
Wow.
So just a heads up on that. And that is my report.
Thank you. Do we have any public to be heard?
No.
So item G, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the Save a Senior plan.
This time we'll have Ms. Taylor brief the board on what they're thinking about. We'll go from there.
So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jennifer Taylor. And I got the privilege or honor of being the president this year. Unfortunately, we don't have money. So typically the rollover, it varies anywhere from the low side to 5,000, upwards of 8,000 to 10,000 a year. And we got to start up with $1,100. So we have been hustling like crazy, trying to get some donations. Mostly monetary is all that has come in so far. But the biggest thing that we're facing is a place to hold Save a Senior. The tradition has been in the works for over 30 years. And so I got with Miss Wilson. And I got with Sergeant Sams, and we kind of went around and looked at trying to see if we could possibly utilize the high school. And we would be utilizing the PAC where they could distance. Of course, we would have, I'll kind of go through the ideas and the plan of everything, but just to kind of give you an idea of the areas we'd be using. The students would be able to socially distance easily. With presentation hall, the math commons, the math wing, the lower gym, the turf room, in those areas. But our biggest thing is that the more money that we can save by utilizing a place that we have available, the more money we can give back to the kids. Roughly in the past, I got a big notebook that showed me all the costs for everything. Typically it's about $10,000 that's given to the kids just in prizes alone. To rent a facility like NSU is around $5,200. It's around $1,900 for food because you have to use their food on site. So that was a big blow. Right now, we've been able to, which you guys should have the documents for the hypnotist. We've been able to secure that, and I presented you guys with an invoice for the $500 deposit for that. And we're able to utilize the high school. So the plan for that would be, we would be in compliance with CDC guidelines, and install those practices. Make sure that upon check-in, the kids would be required to have masks. They would check in through the PAC. They would do temperature checks. They would have to provide us with waivers to attend, Save a Senior, waivers to participate in any of the events, and then a COVID waiver as well. They would have to sign in, have parent signature as well, and then upon leaving that night, they would sign out. We talked with the SROs about having them breathalyzed, also doing the temp checks, like I said, and then we would have sanitizing solutions at all of the different events going on, readily available. We have access to the spray that's offered through the county, through the local fire department, so we can utilize that as well. Anything that the kids could come into contact with could be wiped down before the next kid did whatever maybe. Right now we're sitting at a class of around 297. We are anticipating around 175 to 200 to potentially show up, but with the okay to utilize the high school, we're going to send out a survey to the students to find out t-shirt sizes, because each student will be provided a t-shirt, and then if they plan to attend or not attend that night. We're also going to do the same thing with the parents, have a parent meeting. They would be signing waivers as well, do temp checks with them as they would come in through the PAC and filter in for their first event, which would be the hypnotist. Do you guys have any questions?
If one wanted to make a monetary contribution, who would they write the check to? Would it be to Tahlequah High School?
It's to Tahlequah Public Schools, and then in the memo, it is to Save a Senior.
I noticed maybe we're going to address this when we vote on this deal, but there were two supplemental service contracts for the hypnosis show. Karen White, $500 deposit for senior graduation party on May 20th. The next one is the service contract with Gary Owens for hypnosis show, Save a Senior Party on May 21st.
Yes, sir.
Could you explain that?
He begins his performance at 11:30 p.m. and concludes at 1 a.m.
So you're gonna have two different hypnosis shows?
No, it starts from 11:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. So it goes into May 21st.
Okay. Now, I understand. But then there's two different people, though. There's Gary Owens and Karen White. What?
Karen White is the booking agency for several of the hypnotists around the country. And Gary Owen is who typically has done Tahlequah's performance in the past.
Thank you.
Ms. Wilson, what's the graduation date?
It's that Friday, the 20th.
The 20th.
20th, hang on. I think I would know that.
And they go to graduation to
21st, and then.
So it would be the 21st until the 22nd.
Okay. 21st until the 22nd.
Mhm.
So if we have it at the high school,
Mhm.
and there's different buildings you're talking about, so when it's been at the NSU activity center, there are like two doors.
Mhm.
that they have somebody out each one to make sure the kids don't escape one way or the other, or they have to be locked in or whatever. But with as many different places that you're talking about, there's a whole lot more doors.
Yes.
I'm kind of wondering how you're gonna monitor that.
So we walk through those areas, from getting the kids transferred from the PAC into that main part of the building. We will have parents stationed at 12 different locations. Those parent volunteers will be based on a rotating schedule, so one parent's not gonna get stuck at one thing for the entire night. And those parents will be assigned at those locations. So all the doors will be covered. The students will not have access to other parts or areas of the school. Our SROs will be floating around, and we'll have parent floaters as well, to make sure everybody's where they're supposed to be. That way, if from the 1 to 2 slots, somebody is not where they're supposed to be, we can make sure it then get that thing or get that area covered.
Do you have any particular type of fundraisers planned? I know it's really different. They used to sell water at athletic events that we're not having anymore, I know. And so do you have anything that's?
So we have, we were able to fundraise for 3 different events at the football games. We've done an online fundraiser where we did a basket auction through Facebook online. That was pretty successful. We've raised a little over $900 for that. But it's just getting people to even donate items, getting people that can have time, because everybody's pulling extra shifts at a lot of different locations. We have a lot of parents who are healthcare workers, teachers, principals, and other members, here at the board. And so it's just difficult. We do have a sponsor for the t-shirts. Like I said, that's going to be a little over $3,000. That sponsor said, if we can put that money towards gifts and get somebody else to donate just for teachers, they want that $3,000 to go wherever the best is for. So that money is not included in our total right now. So our total where we stand right now, subtracting out the hypnotist cost, we are at $6,938.
And how much do you think you really need to pull off the same type of thing that we've been having in the past?
So in the past, which keep in mind they've used an SU or a different location, the party itself takes anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000 to pull off.
Well, Lori told me she'd be willing to write.
Right, I will meet him right after the meeting.
I did have another question.
Yes.
So will the students wear those t-shirts so they're identifiable to parents? Because you're not gonna know all of the.
So when the students come in, they're gonna sign in, they will not get their t-shirts until the end of the night. Depending on if they're able to use the high school, we've got a couple of different ways to disperse the t-shirts. We've thought about putting them at their chairs at graduation, since they will be labeled there. We've thought about just having them at checkout for the PAC, so they didn't have to carry them all night while they're doing activities. But does that kind of answer your
Well, I'm
question?
more interested in identifying them as seniors, so someone else doesn't sneak in. As a parent, you don't know all of the seniors. I mean, you really gotta.
That's where we got a great principal that is on.
We're gonna have a bracelet, though.
Yes,
We're gonna have
so,
something,
actually today, and I didn't bring them up here, but, we had a donation of the rubber bracelets, so we can color code. They say graduating class of Tulsa High School, class of 2021. And they are in 6 different colors. So they'll get a bracelet color when they come in. We will have a check-off list of seniors where we can check them off and have them sign in, that we will get from the high school.
and then they will sign out on that list as well.
Yeah, I'm just interested as they move about and parents stationed at different places being able to identify this is a senior. Because
No one else will be able to get in
Well,
because they're gonna be locked in once we check in.
right,
Then doors will be secure and they won't be able to get out. The only way they will be able to get out is in the past, if a senior has said, that's it, I'm done, I just wanna go home. I was told that we find one of the SROs, they have to make a parent contact and actually speak to a guardian to be given permission. The SRO has to receive permission for that senior to be checked out. So they will
Jennifer,
not be out of.
I just remember at NSU, because I've sponsored these as a parent and as a teacher before, and, you know, they didn't have the options of so many different locations.
Mhm.
And I can promise you,
Oh,
whatever
yes.
whatever we've thought of, they've thought of 10 ways around it, so, you know, it's, and that's the fun of it.
Mhm. No doubt, they wanna try it. Yeah,
I get it.
yes, I have a teenager myself, a couple of them, obviously one that's a senior, and, I've been in the school system for quite a while, so yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Jennifer, go ahead.
Ma'am, I can lend a little bit to that. You've been at these things. The first thing they do, the administration is set up, it's a tiered coming through to get checked in and such. So they're very minimal at that time. They don't bring a whole bunch of baggage with them. They've got shorts and a t-shirt and a pillow and a blanket maybe or whatever, and a small carry. And that's taken a look at. Then they come through the SROs for the breathalyzer and things like that. And then they move to where the administration has their tickets for the prize bowls and such. And they have to sign a pre-printed form. So through those, I know it don't sound like, well, anybody could sneak in, but two things. I mean, not a lot of folks, since we've been doing this, since I've been around, we've never had anybody say, hey, who is that kid? Or who was that guy? Because there's such a presence. When they're coming in, there's all of us are all right there. And then we're throughout the building and such. And Jennifer's plan is, and you obviously question right, but there is a plan to move those in controlled groups. So they're not just going to be from the PAC. Someone's going to say, okay, we'll see you guys in 25 minutes over in the turf room, and then they just scatter out. They've got a plan to mark. We're going to leave out this door that's monitored, down this pathway that's monitored, marked, and so on and so. So to alleviate a little bit of your thought that we may have an infiltration of a lot of boyfriends and girlfriends that don't go to school here or whatever. Even though I couldn't name you probably 10 off the top of my head, you see them kids and you're like, wait a minute, that's not a, and then, Mr. Pack's there and we have never, I've done, this will be 20 of these things. And I've to this day not had somebody say, hey, I think there's somebody that don't belong here. Most of the time the kids that are there, they want to be there. They've got with their peer group and said, hey, let's all go to the all-nighter together. Let's hang out together and things. We really haven't had that. And to be honest with you, at the NSU, there's way more than 2 doors. We've got, there's 14 plus ways to get in and out of that thing. And so it's not, I know it's fear of change and we're going, oh my gosh, the high school campus is sprawled out or whatever. And can I stand here and 100% tell you that somebody might not slip down that hall? No, we can't. There's no way we could do that. That'd be arrogant of us to try to do that. But they have a plan to mark and monitor and move these groups in groups so that kids aren't ever just say, hey, we'll see you over there when you get there. We hope everybody makes it, if that helps.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll move to approve that we continue on with Save a Senior Plan.
Second that.
Any discussion? Ms. Walker? Aye. Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Nemo?
Aye.
Mr. Myers?
Aye.
And I.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, motion to approve or not approve prom.
On the prom, and we just approved Save a Senior. I think we're gonna have these different events come up for the rest of this year, and then the beginning of next year, trying to decide when's the proper time to do certain things, and when's appropriate to travel somewhere. To me, there's kind of three questions that we have to ask. Number one, is it being put on by an outside group? We're just sending kids to it. The next is the activity conducive to COVID restrictions. Can you do it? Wear a mask. Can you do it? And stay 6 feet apart. Can you do all those things that still be the event you want it to be? And then finally, does the facility lend itself to what you're trying to do at that time? And visiting with our high school staff, our administration, with the prom this year, I don't know if we feel we're prepared to try to put on a prom yet. The main thing we've looked at, NSU is going to be our event host. And obviously with the restrictions in place, there's a capacity limit, which would limit the number of people that we could have in the building. And then also a 6 foot distance. Put on a prom to where you can't get 6 feet away from somebody is, in my mind, not conducive to a prom. And then also, just we still have the danger of, kids getting quarantined and the worry of having a junior or senior girl go out buy a $500 dress, and then the day before we have to tell her she can't go to prom. So we worry about things like that. So at this time, we do not have a facility to hold prom, other than if we did it here. But our plan was to try to do it in NSU like they've done in the past mostly. That's obviously not something we're going to be able to do. So at this time, and you're welcome to ask questions of the principal and the administrators. But I just, and it's not apples and apples. We're going to talk about other things this meeting and next meeting and meeting after that. But again, it's just trying to meet certain criteria, and our ability to put on a good prom. I just think it would be a stretch to try to do that. I know we're doing other things, we're having other events, but those are just my main concerns, having the school prom. Parents can still put their own prom on, which I know that's not the same. That's not the same at all. But that is an option out there they can do.
What was the consensus of the students last year that they put it on themselves? Did everything go okay? Does anyone know?
I was not there, but I heard that it was a good time and everyone had a good time.
Might be best to let them do it themselves again, to where there were not so much interference and putting some, restrictions and stuff. I mean, and it's up to them and it's off the school, and it sounds like it went well for them.
Is there something that we could do in place of the prom? That would allow the kids to get dressed up and still follow those things. Like 60 some years ago, when I went to my prom, literally, it was an all-night affair. And they began with cocktail parties in private homes where we had cokes and so on. And then all the guys made arrangements to get convertibles and all, and everybody dressed up in their tuxes and dinner jackets. And then they had a banquet that was served, and that was at the cafeteria. And everybody had, rather than going around the buffet style, they were served. And then they had the dance. And I agree with you, I don't think you can do a dance type of thing and say 6 feet apart. But after that, they had a movie. We went to a movie where there was like a parade of cars through town where everybody could wave at the kids. And they had a runway built out the front of the theater where every couple was introduced as this is Mr. So-and-so and his or Miss So-and-so and her escort, And they went in and watched the movie. And then after that, we went to the Elks Club where they had a little sock hop. again, it's not probably possible. And they brought in a disc jockey from WLS in Chicago. And then after that, we went to an outside breakfast sponsored by one of the men's clubs at a local park where they had breakfast. And I finally got home at about 7 o'clock in the morning, changed my clothes and went out horseback riding. And, you know, it was like a whole beast, you know.
I'm around.
And senior party all together. But what I'm saying, I know I'm not proposing something like that, but I'm wondering if there's something that we could do in place of the prom that would give these kids a special kind of notice that, you know, they get a chance to dress up and be known and be noticed, you know, maybe a dinner, a formal dinner. Would that be a possibility in place of a dance?
That's a lot to take in. A banquet, as you suggested, would be very, very expensive. Would be my first thing. I mean,
Well, as a 16-year-old, I didn't worry about how much it was costing.
That'd be something we'd have to think of. I don't know what that would be. I mean, if we're not gonna put on a prom, but we put on something like that, I don't know.
I'd rather us find the money for Save a Senior.
Well,
You know,
ours
so
was
they
kind of
can
like
do
a
all the stuff.
combination of say the senior party and the dance, and it was all done at the same
Like wear
time.
suit
And
and
we just
dresses, say the
graduated.
Yeah, they could wear a big prom dress, prom on a penny, March 6th, all day Saturday. $5, $10 dresses, we have 1,000. So,
Question about unlike Save a Senior, like the prom is pretty much self-funded, right? They use the money from tickets to the venue and all of that. So it's not this issue where we have a pot of money that we can't turn over to be spent if we don't.
How much money do you have at the moment, do you know?
I believe, if I remember correctly, probably 10,000. So, and that usually our ticket sales, and so why it's 10,000 is one year we had it at the cafeteria and didn't have it at an issue. There was a conflict. So that saved us a lot of money that year. Parents brought in the food and all that. So we were able to kind of bank a lot of money. And then, but usually a typical year, the ticket sales pays for the decorations. We make around 7,000 or 8,000. So, because usually around 400 kids attend.
Now you're talking about prom?
Prom, yes.
But that 10,000 is in an activity fund.
In the junior account.
And again, if it's not school sponsored, then we can't use that money it makes it school sponsored if we use that money.
So
So
none
we
of that-
can't pay for a venue with that or anything.
So none of that money was used on the last prom?
No.
more discussion?
Well, just, the thing, I know if it's privately held with parents, I think I voiced this last year, and I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, but I don't feel like it is open, but it doesn't feel as inclusive for kids, I don't think, across the spectrum to go. And that,
Right. What did the students want?
We haven't talked to them a lot because when we were talking about using NSU, we had talked to them, Jennifer talked to them, and they said 150 people. And so then our first thought was, well, how do you pick the 150 people that get to go?
Yeah.
And then if we thought about having it at the school, but we would have to, you couldn't let 400 people go in our cafeteria and be a part. And so I haven't reached out to them, to be really honest. I have 2 kids of my own, one junior and one senior.
How many came last year? Does anybody know? A couple hundred, or was there 400, or
I don't
they came to
know.
the private one?
I think there was around 200 or 250.
Was it? Okay.
Where did they have that?
It was at the venue where the Elks Lodge is now.
And it was all done by the parents. It was juniors and seniors.
Yes.
I mean, is there any way to get some feedback over the next 2 weeks? Or is March 9th too late to make a decision if we table this,
Well, the
or
prom is usually in April.
what? That's just an idea.
Yeah.
I mean, my only thing, again, going back to what you said, I mean, if 100% of the kids want to do it, that's great, but where are we gonna do it
Right.
to hold those kids? So, I mean,
That
Be
always
more
comes
conditional.
back.
Just
yeah,
handle it
to
themselves.
survey them and to get their hopes up and turn around and say, well, we're not gonna do it.
Right, I
That's-
got you.
Because you got a distance.
Sounds like it might be best just to let them take care of it themselves like they did last year.
Yeah, I kind of agree that we can't have a prom as a prom. And I would vote that way that against it, but I would hope that maybe we could come up with something with the.
So like pre-prom dinner,
Yeah.
is that what you're talking about?
You know, and it wouldn't have to necessarily come out of our budget. I mean, if they have the activity fund and they could sell tickets, kids want to go to it and so on. I mean, if they're spending a lot for a dress or rent a tuxedo, maybe they'd be willing to kick in $10 for a piece for a dinner or something. I don't know. That's just a thought that was in my head.
How's a way of that money with $10,000 sitting there? How's a way to put some of that money towards that if it's not a school sponsored event? I mean, could we pass out, could they give free tickets out with the $10,000 to?
No, I mean,
No.
school money has to be spent on
On
school.
school,
I
nothing,
mean, once it hits that activity count, it's deposited.
it has to go for that.
Well, I think if we did something like a dinner, I think it would have to be a school sponsored
Right.
dinner.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I move that we not approve the THS prom.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Anybody else want to say anything? Ms. Nemo,
Aye.
Mr. Myers,
Aye.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
and I.
Now, can we further discuss the other at a later time? Or can they look in, or is there no interest in that at
It's,
all?
it's up to them now, right? The parents.
As far as parent prom, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm the fair prom, I'm talking about the other.
Lacey, I mean, what are your
Putting a dinner
thoughts?
on.
I'm always up to discuss anything, Ed. Maybe you
Work
could
with both of
swing
them,
by
so.
my office and we could hash some things out. We could throw around some ideas, you know, and all of that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Do
that
you-
last part.
Would you want to come by my office and we could discuss some things, maybe,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
ideas?
Yeah.
Would that be okay? Or? Okay. Is that-
Maybe it's
Discussion,
something they wouldn't be interested in at all, so.
discussion and vote to approve the following items for as surplus.
I move to approve items I1 for surplus.
Second.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Mr. Meyer,
Aye.
Ms. Nemo,
Aye.
and I. Discussion and vote to approve or not approve the following bids and quotes.
I
First-
move to approve, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
Our first bid, I was just gonna say, that's a new keyboard throughout the district is paid for through our COPS grant. We got a while back. And then the second part is just the annual bids for school pictures and yearbooks. The site reps get together every year and they review all the bids and they decide as a group which companies they want to use each year. So we're just approving their decision
Tell me what a key core is.
inside of the lock.
Oh, okay.
And it's expensive.
They are.
I was shocked.
Yeah. That's why locks don't get changed very often.
That
They do
is.
it on a large scale.
I'll second it.
Ms. Walker, you did make the motion.
I did make the
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Myers seconded, so Ms. Nemo,
Aye.
Mr. Meyer,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
and I. On this business consent docket, down here where they're gonna do Matis, don't we need to change those dates? Because it's the 21st and the 22nd, not the 20th and 21st.
I actually have a copy of the invoice. She had emailed me too. So I have the one that says the 21st on both for
Oh.
each Gary and Karen, if you would like these copies.
I don't know, we can't vote on it if it's got the same date.
Okay.
Just have that new contract. we'll
There's
sign it, And then we just make the motion.
So whoever makes the motion, will you change G to the 21st?
I'm gonna make a motion because I also want to.
I mean, I don't know. what to
Take
do, but I have
2C
the
out
contract.
so we can talk about it separately. Discussion there. So I will make a motion to approve agenda items K1A through G, amending G to say May 21st. And item 2A and B.
What about H?
Okay, you gotta do A. What about
No,
A?
H is the 22nd also.
No, it's the 21st.
No, it says 21st.
Yeah, it's okay. It's the May 20th. That's wrong.
That's just a typo. The contract is right. That's me. It was a typo.
Oh, it's okay.
All of these contracts say May 21st. Now, they
Okay.
don't say through May 22nd. They're just dated May 21st, all of these things.
I made the motion to approve. Okay, I'll just do it again. K1A through H with item G, should read May 21, and 2A and B. Move to approve.
Okay, do I have a
What about
second?
C? I thought you said you.
She wants to discuss that.
She wants to discuss it separately.
These are consent. so-
Oh, the C on 2 you're talking about. Oh, okay, I thought-
I'll second that motion.
Okay, everybody know what we're voting on? Any questions? Or discussion?
I do want to ask, well, on the C, we're talking about the 2C, right?
2C.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
That was my question.
all right. Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Mr. Meyer,
Aye.
Mrs. Nemo.
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Nemo? You have the floor for C
Well,
and I.
I just wanted to separate that one out. I don't know if we need a motion to approve first and then discussion, or I did have some questions.
We just have discussion, and you guys can decide. On this one, you want to came across, it's another one that obviously applies a lot. As I said, with the other thing, we're getting back into the swing of things, it's hard to know when it's okay to do item A, but not item B, and what's apples to apples and what's apples to oranges. So with this one, again, kind of like we said for the prom, I mean, is it put on by us or an outside organization? This is another group that's putting it on, we're putting the kids on a bus, and they're going there to participate. And that's, the same as another baseball game, except they're just going farther, staying overnight, which we're also FFA and basketball, we stand overnight, just in state. They did have to submit a COVID plan, anybody who takes an overnight trip anywhere has to submit a COVID plan to us. Mask on bus, just the same as our bus routes. Social distance the best they can, obviously during the athletic competition, you can't socially distance, but all the other times. I did make them amend one thing. They're gonna take an extra school vehicle. If a kid does come down with COVID during the time they're there, and the parents, most of these kids are riding with parents there. We're not gonna have a lot of kids, most will be with parents. But if they don't have a parent there, then one of our staff would drive that kid back to Oklahoma to the parents, that way they could be looked after. The initial plan, I think they were just gonna quarantine them in their room, and that's obviously not something that we want to do for a week, out of state. So I did make them make that change. And even with that, it's a difficult yes, and it's a difficult no, because it is out of state, but at the same time, they're going to play baseball games. They're just going a little bit farther for this one. So I told them we would put it on the agenda to discuss, to see. Outside of that, if you have any other questions about it.
I mean, why this tournament?
Yeah.
I mean,
Say that again.
why particularly this tournament? Were we invited?
It's a spring break tournament that they've gone to in the past. And last year they didn't go, obviously at the beginning of COVID. So they've asked if they can start that tradition back. And I don't know how long they've gone, how many times they've gone. During my time here, they went
That's the
until last
entire
year.
high school baseball team, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll move to approve item 2C.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it to open a discussion on it.
Discussion.
I have it, Leon, one of my questions was that you've already answered, because it said in their protocol that if there was a positive test, they would be returned to a parent. If one is on the trip, then quarantine if needed. So my question was, what do we do
Yeah.
if a kid test
No.
positive and their parent's not there? But you said they're going, then a staff person would bring them home.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing that stuck out to me when we started reading it, so. We had to take an extra vehicle, somebody would have to bring a child.
Is there test, so it says that they'll take their temperatures twice a day, and if they test positive, so that, I assume that would be if the kid's down there and gets sick.
If they have symptoms.
Fine.
Yeah.
Try to find, I guess, a way to test them. And I think the concern is this is a 12-hour drive, I think. So it's very different than even in Oklahoma City, where if something happened, you know, someone, whether it be a parent or a staff, could get that kid back home quickly. We would know where to get them tested, and we're not that far away.
And that's why this isn't a simple one, it's a little bit harder.
Well,
Can you get rapid tests? I mean, can we buy tests?
I don't have a good answer to that, I don't know.
I don't know if they're available yet.
Or do we have the rapid tests available? I mean, for people, can they?
Wow.
It would be good if we
I
could.
don't think they're issued by the government right now.
To my knowledge.
Last year, it was at this time when the band took it to Florida and turned around and come back. The basketball team, the girls' basketball team was on their way to Oklahoma City, I believe, when about the same time, and turned around and come back.
State canceled that.
State, yeah. They went down, or this was canceled from last year. I was talking about March of last year. Things this year in March are better now than they were in January, but I don't think they're any better, probably worse than they were in March of last year.
Yeah.
And so I wonder about how the fairness of having canceled the band trip because of COVID concerns last year. And that we would now this year turn around when the situation actually is a little worse than it was last year at that time. And we allow them to go this year. I understand why they would want to do it. But I just don't think I don't think it's the right thing to do right now. And I'm sorry, I think it's just one of the prices that they have to pay. And you know, hopefully by another 2 weeks, it's going to even be better than it is now. But I still don't think it's going to be as bad. I still think it's going to be worse than it was a year ago when we canceled the thing off. So that's my reasoning behind it.
My take on it is if the parents are willing to follow the consent and the students, some of them may be 18, and if they're willing to, you know, follow the rules and everything, I mean, I don't have an issue with it. I mean, it's difficult times, but we've gone through this for over a year now. That's not an excuse, but I mean, at some point, once we get back to letting these kids live a life as much as possible.
When they're inoculated and they're all doing well, which will happen by the summer sometime.
The problem is we've been having athletic events. I mean, if we hadn't been having any, that would be one thing. We know from last year, no one knew what was going on then. And we have been in school as much as we could, and the state has allowed athletic events to go on. So.
And it's, like I said, it is a difficult one. I mean, it's not cut and dry. I mean, I agree with Lori, you know, we're gonna go play a baseball game somewhere, you know, so it's that, but then also agree with everything you said. I mean.
We're playing basketball tomorrow night
Yeah.
and Friday.
I mean, it's not just an easy.
But that's a
Yeah.
one time,
Yeah, this is
it's not a week at a
yeah,
time, writing down 12 hours.
out of state and all of that. That's true.
Other discussion? So we have a motion and a second. So
You have two motions on the floor right now. You
Okay,
have Chrissy's motion that excluded two C, and you have Sean's motion that was for two C.
okay,
No,
so
my motion was just to take,
so she could take it out.
Take out the consent
we
document.
just didn't vote on that one because then we could approve all of them at once. So I moved to approve K 1A through H and 2A and B. And then that just left C on the agenda by itself. So I don't think I have an open motion. I think just.
So you-
Sean does.
You made a motion and Ed, didn't you second
I
it,
seconded
just for the sake of
To
discussion?
approve it, yeah.
So we can have a roll call. to
We're gonna have a
approve-
vote.
Approve the trip, right?
Yeah.
That's what the motion is, to approve the trip.
That's exactly what it is.
So, everybody on board? Ms. Walker? Oh, God. Don't do that to me.
Well, you know, we're not
Ms.
having a
Stegman?
problem. We do, I'm gonna vote yes. Aye.
Okay. Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Nemo?
No.
Mr. Meyer?
No.
Yeah, thank you, it did. I'm gonna vote yes, let him go. Discussion and vote to approve or not approve revisions in the following public policies. Policies.
And what these two are, the first one is not a new policy. It's just changing, Kathy Daniel was still mentioned, where now we have Brittany Bloodworth in that position. So it's just putting her name there. And the second one is a newer policy for us allowing electronic signatures. And the main reason that on the front side of this is we're gonna do online enrollment. Make sure so just allowing, accepting digital signatures. And then obviously that'll move and grow, into other areas as we start accepting more and different things.
I move to approve.
Second that.
Any discussion? Ms. Nemo?
Aye.
Mr. Myers?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Walker?
Aye.
And I. Discussion about to approve or not approve the schedule of encumbrances.
I vote to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Nemo?
Aye.
Mr. Meyer?
Aye.
And I. Need a motion to go into executive session?
Second that.
Okay. Ms. Nemo?
Aye.
Mr. Meyer?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Walker? And I.